going to go. Hello and welcome to today's edition of Route 664, The Road to Human Kindness. I'm Les Winston. I'm the national spokesperson for socialsacharity.org. Socialsacharity.org. And that is a project of the Tao American Network Foundation. And my co-host, Wanda, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
I feel like, we shook some hands today.
Yeah, things are getting back to normal.
Closer. We're coming back, people, sort of.
Yeah.
We're going forward. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. And I have to say, I've been listening to Route 664 on the radio.
Yay.
And I love the music, and I love the rapport in between, all the talking in between, because it's me.
It's educational.
Yeah, it's educational, and it's also about social charity and what we're trying to do. It's a pretty big project, and we want to change the way things are done. It may take a while to do that, and we understand that. So we want you to become part of the solution as opposed to being not able to handle what's going on.
Grassroots, really.
Grassroots, and also basically middle class. I must say, I do have to clarify things. Social charity is a tool of the middle class more than it is a tool of the upper class, the rich, or the elite, or the lower class. And the reason I say that is because people who are below the poverty line are not going to be able to make contributions to charity, and they're not going to be able to make contributions into a social charity account at this particular point in time because it doesn't benefit them. They need the money to live on.
They can give to charity.
They can give time.
Yes,
they can give time.
Yes.
And you can make a charitable contribution. You can put money into a Salvation Army tin, or you can do whatever you want to help. Yeah, help other people. I'm not saying you're not going to be kind. I'm just saying that it's more difficult to do the economic side of the social charity as opposed to the kindness side. We're at a crossroads now between the economic and between economy and human kindness. And I think we need to stress the fact that one can help the other. And the people that will do that the best are the people that are, I believe, in the middle class. The upper class, the ultra rich in the country, and I think there are four classes. I'll get into the fourth class, the elite. But the ultra rich don't really have the need for, or they're not concerned about income. And income is the factor that makes social charity different from all of the giving. Because with social charity, you get back income. When you give to charity, you get back income. And that's not something that the ultra rich actually need.
It's just the way things go. When you give, you get back. That's the flow of things.
Well, you do. You get back something,
right,
one way or the other. If you give and you're giving to an act of kindness, that makes you feel good, and that's
sure,
what you get back for that. But in the economic world, we're looking to get back a couple of things when we do that. One is to get some tax relief, and the second is to get some income. So the middle class is in a better position to do that. That means that, and I think the middle class is a little bit difficult to define sometimes, but the way that to define it in the dictionary, it's the class between the poor and the rich. Duh. But what really defines middle class? Is it having a family, owning a home, having assets, and how far does that go before you become in the upper class? What's the range? And I think the range is pretty large. The rich in the country are I would say the 1%, and those are the billionaires and the multiple millionaires, not necessarily just a millionaire. So it's changed a lot. And so the middle class, the problem in the middle class right now is that the middle class is being buffeted on all sides. It's being buffeted by inflation. It's being buffeted by, restrictions on how to travel and everything else that the middle class enjoys. And it's time for the resurgence of the middle class, the restoration of the middle class, and the improvement of the middle class, and the opportunity for everybody to get to the middle class.
This just in.
Yes.
The American dream is not dead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bulletin.
There you go. Bulletin. It is. Yeah. It is alive. So that's what we need to.
Yeah, and we want to get across the point that the impetus is charity, And charity is a superpower. It's one of those things that we are trying to develop more of. I think there's a lot of power in music,
For sure.
and and our radio program, Route 664. They need to be able to get that. We need to show that on the screen.
That's on Facebook. If you go to our Facebook page, you can link up there. It's also on. I'm not sure it's on the website just yet because it began Mother's Day. It was a wonderful way to say Happy Mother's Day. And just to,
and the choice of music is phenomenal.
Well, the thing with me and music, I think that music transcends all communication. You know, you can look at a music note; it means the same thing in German, Russian, Swahili. And that's the thing that I've always loved about music. It unites us. So that's my intention with Route 664. And it's different genres from different genres. And I like how they all, I mean, that's my background, is just working out with all kinds of music. When people say they love all kinds of music, they don't mean it.
Yeah, you got Stevie Wonder, Andy Grammer. You got
Tim McGraw.
Tim McGraw, the Beatles are in there.
Everybody's in there.
Everybody's in there. No, it's really good, and great drive music.
Feel good music.
Yeah. So I hook it up in my car and I listen to it now all the time. And then, of course, the times when there are breaks, you get
education,
the dulcet tones of Les Winston.
Oh, yes.
But
it's soothing.
We hope you don't go to sleep while you're driving. But anyway, no, it's, I'm interviewing people that I think are important to this movement, and people that are philanthropists. I think that's really part of this as well. And we're going to have other people as well on Route 664, the radio program. So we'll be looking forward to that.
We were supposed to have our writer on board with us today. Has he joined us yet? No? All right.
Yeah.
Trying to find Osmond, because we've acquired a wonderful team that's helping us spread the word. And week by week, hopefully we can introduce them to you.
This week we want to introduce Osmond. He's a writer. But we're going to talk until he gets here. If he doesn't get here, it's okay. He's probably busy writing.
I hope so.
Yeah. So, Wanda.
Yes.
When you're DJing.
Yes. I know.
That's what it is. It's old school, right? Right.
Wiki means a different thing to the newer generation, I'm sure.
Yeah. So how do you get to the younger generation's music? Who are the performers that are there?
I think the performers are DJs, definitely. But music, it feels electronic, but it's still heartfelt. I mean, I remember when, I guess when the computers just started, making music with computers was not even thought of. And now we totally can. Musicians can be computer geeks. Love you.
and they can manufacture music. Yeah,
but ultimately, music is just a note. And I don't know. It sounds organic. I love acoustic music. I love folk music. I went to college in West Virginia, so I spent a lot of time with folk music and country music. And
there is country on your mix, and
So
and
I'm a country girl at heart.
uplifting country. There's some country that's not uplifting, but there's some country that is uplifting.
But I love a good party, and I love a good. I don't want to say rave. I don't know what they're calling them these days, but a good concert outdoors with everybody jumping. It's so fun. It's just so fun when you get there and you get caught up in the music and you can feel it. I love music that you can just feel in your bones.
So, do you have a different set of music for the drive time?
No, well, it's obviously a work in progress, and I've tried to let the music just kind of blend itself, and it seems to be working.
Are you trying to change people's minds with the music?
No. Not change their mind. I'm just trying to get people to remember what it feels like to feel good and not be all stressed about news. As I maybe take a break from the news and join us and come over and just listen to some music that takes you to for me, some of it takes me back to when I was, a kid and having a fun time, and just forget about it. Call it a little meditational moment.
There's so much news on the air. Yeah. I mean, it's available 24 hours a day.
There's enough talking.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, the middle class is probably most interested in news more than anybody, because especially with market conditions the way they are and going up and down and volatility. Yeah, but you got inflation, you got volatility in the market, you got issues with employment, unemployment.
Yeah.
So the economics of the world are in your face.
Everybody dance now.
Right. And the problem with that is that sometimes you don't look at some of the planning issues that are necessary. And not to bring the party down, but
That's all right.
we need to talk about economics in this vein and how you can actually make change occur by being smart about your own planning and using the devices that the government has given us. That's what Route 664 is all about. 664 is a section of the tax code that we want people to recognize and to understand. It equals social security. Social security is obviously sounds like Social Security for a reason, because the intent is to mimic Social Security, and also to possibly transform it in a way that is more beneficial to the community. So the theory is that Social Security, when you have accumulated all of the money that you've put in over your lifetime, if you reach retirement age, you're not married and you have no children, and you pass away the next day, the money that you've put into that whole period of time, all of that Social Security money that you've contributed just disappears. It goes back to the government for the government to distribute in whatever way they see fit. And with Social Charity, it's a little different. You can accumulate money again for income purposes like Social Security, but you can also benefit because the income stream that you get is greater than Social Security, and the income stream can supplement Social Security. And you, at your end of your life, whatever you've accumulated in there goes where you direct it to go into the charitable world, so to speak. And so that's what we consider to be the endowment making side of the process, in that when you put all this money into Social Charity and then you pass away and it goes to the charities that you want, they can use that for endowment purposes, which is one of the things that is crucial to most nonprofit organizations. So the change that we're trying to make is significant. We want to increase the amount of charitable capital, charitable endowment that's in the community. And we want to do that through middle-class contributions in exchange for income and better tax relief. So those are and that concept was actually given to us by Congress. I mean, this is something that's already existing. This is not something that we're making up. This is not a new concept. This is not, a make-believe situation. This is for real, because the Section 664 that we talk about was actually put into the tax code in 1969 officially, and it's the section on split interest trusts. It is not the only section, by the way, that is Social Charity. That is the one that many people probably have heard of, which is a charitable remainder trust. That's what 664 is, charitable remainder trust, or Social Charity, as we call it. They put it that there for a reason. They created that section of the tax code for people to use to increase charitable wealth in the country. We haven't used it in 50 years. And we, basically in 1969, when they passed this act, the legislation that led to Section 664, the country was coming out of the Kennedy era, and Johnson was in the changeover to the war on poverty and the other things that government got involved in, and that period is extended to today. And during that period of time, nobody has really used Section 664. Now we're coming out of that, believe it or not, 50 years later, where we see we have to come out of it. We can't afford to have greater debt put on at a national level, and we can't continue to overspend. And so one of the things that you have to do is use the assets that are available to make new economic conditions better. And so we're using a section that Congress gave us over 50 years ago, Section 664, where we've coined the term Social Security because we think that is the closest way to mimic, the closest way to explain what mimics Social Security. And understand how it really can help create human kindness. Because if your nonprofit organizations, if your charitable organizations are doing what they're supposed to do, and they're not fully funded, in other words, they don't have an endowment to live off, and very few of them do. Some of the larger universities obviously do. Maybe some hospitals do, but rarely. We want to be able to provide, you should be able to provide from the community level, on a community level, you should be able to provide a hospital that's fully endowed, or hospitals that are fully endowed. This is what the future looks like, where hospitals are fully endowed, so that the cost of healthcare can be reduced and really brought down to bare minimum in a community. It's very much like a small country. You can have free healthcare, but you don't do it the same way using government, when government is controlled by politics, and that's where you have the issues. You need to restrict government's role, and just as Randy Fox, one of my prior guests, said, you need to disinherit the IRS.
Oh no!
And yeah, if you disinherit, the federal agent over here.
Well, I mean, somebody needs some jobs.
Yeah, so you don't want to. You want to disinherit the IRS. If you disinherit the IRS, you reduce the amount of taxes that you pay. You also reduce the funding for government programs, but we have to assume that those government programs will be shifted now to the community-based funding, and that's what the whole economic definition is of what we're attempting to do. And we're trying to replace 30 trillion in debt with 30 trillion in endowment, and that can be done if we combine a high level of volunteer social charity use, and also create some mandatory social charity use.
How long? When do you think we could set a goal to have that done by?
Well, by 2050, we've projected that you will reduce the federal debt by 28 trillion. We don't know what it would be if they continue on the trend that we're on now, what it might be by then. But if it stays at 30 trillion, we would be able to reduce it by, regardless of what it goes to, we would be reducing the debt by about 28 trillion by 2050.
So we'll always have debt, right? Some sort of debt. I mean, it's kind of...
No, we don't have to have debt, not on a federal level. We've had periods of time where we have had no debt. And the debt problem becomes more and more severe when interest rates rise, obviously. And so it becomes a greater part of the budget. And then what happens is you end up in a squeeze, because your tax funding is reduced. You're basically producing less and paying out more. And that can only last for so long before there's ultimate disaster, and it's financial disaster.
Is that congestion almost, or
congestion,
or gas, or just plain? I mean, let's help people understand what kind of situation we're in. I mean, is this like, are we about to barf or about to blow up the other end? I mean, what's going on? I like to break.
All right, you like to make it an
simple.
Organic problem.
I do.
Okay.
Because it is.
I would say we're getting close to throwing up.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Too much at the bottom, and it's all about the blow.
Well, I think what you got is, and the throwing up may be inflation and the response to inflation. And listen, I went to buy gas yesterday. I had to pay $3.53 a gallon.
Where are you getting gas?
Yeah, getting gas is really the issue. That's one of the things we've been talking about. It's another issue. Yeah. And we get into we'll have Dr. Foster on. He'll be able to help you with your gastrointestinal problems. Yeah. It's the problem is you can't spend more than you make, and you can't continuously build debt, and you can't
eat more than you can.
Yeah, I mean, bringing it down to simple terms, if you want to buy you can't make $1 out of 99 cents. It's just you have to borrow the other penny. So you're stuck in a place where your costs are going to go up, because with interest rates, if they rise, and they most likely will at some point, you're going to have a tremendous interest payment, and you don't want the government defaulting on bonds. You don't want the government defaulting on things. And then you have other situations where you have other currencies that are that are competing, and you have a lot going on. And that's where this is creating like somebody ready to throw up.
Oh, no. I want to understand why we have so many and the most billionaires than we've ever had, and yet we have all this debt.
Okay, well, that's an interesting thought, because, and I want to talk about the elite. I said that I would define the elite. The elite is a separate class. The elite are actually the people that are in government. Okay, and the reason that they're elite is they have guarantees that other people don't have, and those come from the ability to tax. In addition to the elite, you have media, and you also have Hollywood, or the entertainment industry in part. Some of them are immune to, the elite are kind of immune to the economic situation that other people are not immune to.
What makes someone elite? Just their bank
The immunity.
account?
The immunity. No, the fact that if you're a government employee during this period of COVID, you never lost your job, and you never didn't get paid. You also had your health benefits. You have things that are provided and protections that are provided to government employees that are not provided to other people, and that makes them elite. And so that's a separate class.
Are they untouchable?
Sometimes, yeah. They are, and sometimes that's very upsetting to the other classes, because when the elites are untouchable, and you see it. I mean, there's
the problem.
Yeah, there's some that so
much
when you have I don't want to make it overwhelming,
Yes.
but it is, and
Times.
it's getting overwhelming unless we make some changes, and I think the changes have to come from the current generation that's coming up. I like to call this the first generation, because I think that if we set up some parameters for them, will help them, and also improve their ability to become part of the middle class and to stay in the middle class. So, and part of that is the concept of conscription, or the concept of 18-year-olds having to serve the country. And I know that raises some hackles on a lot of people's necks, and I don't blame that.
When
because
you say serve the country,
they think about military,
or
most of the time they think about military.
Okay.
Yeah,
or are there other options?
Yeah, and I think there's some movement afoot now where obviously there's discussion about paying for 2 years of junior college, and I don't think the government's in a position to do that in the way that they want to do it. I think that they would be better served if they would trade off service to the country in exchange for 2 years of education, 2 years of additional education. But I think as part of that, and we discussed a little bit of it, it's mandatory for 18-year-old males in this country to sign up for the draft to go into selective service.
Have you done it?
Yeah, age 18. If you haven't done it, it's a $250,000 fine and 5 years in jail potential. So it's a serious penalty. I don't know how much of that is being enforced. I'm not sure how many people actually know about that. But in any case, 18-year-old males have the responsibility. It needs to be extended to females so that there's equality, and the service that you would give would be 4 months of a kind of a boot camp style training, instruction, discipline, all those things.
Can you take some karate classes
if you want to? But that's part of it. It's learning how to take care of yourself. Also, you become independent at age 18.
Would be nice too.
Yeah, well, you also get paid. You're independent. You're going to be disciplined for that period of time to do what needs to be done. And then at the end of that 4 months, you would go through, or during that 4 months, you go through some sort of evaluations. Your skill sets, what you're capable of doing, what you would like to do, and it gives you a little bit of direction where you're going to go for the next 20 months, the first 2 years, and it could be military service, but it doesn't have to be. It could be any branch of the military service, but it doesn't have to be. It can be service corps in the form of taking care of children, taking care of elderly. It can be in the form of ecology, where you're protecting the environment. It can be in the form of space or science.
What if you have a job? What if they're already working at 16? They have a job. They started their own company. Can't they?
Well,
be
that's
exempt?
a little different. I mean, you have if you have
Will
there
they
are
be exempt?
exceptional kids that
There are.
there are exceptional young people that, and I don't think it's bad for them too. So the worst thing that they would do is they would take a leave of absence and give 4 months to the patterning in that regard, and then return to what they were doing. But people who want to get college credit, if they want college credit, and not everybody's fit to go to college, and not everybody wants to go to college.
That's true.
And most 18-year-olds, I think, when they graduate high school and they're not going to college, they really don't know what to do. There's very little instruction on where they would go from there to find a job and do the other things that are necessary in the financial and economic world.
Join
which
a
is
band.
Yeah, well, listen, sometimes it's what falls in your lap. Sometimes it's what you've been doing, who your friends are. The opportunity comes from weird places,
It
but
does.
opportunity does come. The point I'm getting across, though, is that for the most part, there would be a little bit more structure in young people's lives, and I think you would reduce, drug abuse. I think you would be reducing gangs. You would be reducing a lot of issues that arise from people who are out of school
Homelessness.
and don't have something to do.
Yeah.
So during that time, and this is a very important part of this, during that time, those 18-year-olds would start using a Social Security account.
Mm-hmm.
When you go in the military, if you weren't aware of this, when you go in the military, you are required to contribute to Social Security. And most people, when I ask them, young people, they don't think it's going to be there. For the most part, it's been told to them that it won't be there that it's going to have to be reduced. It's going to have to be tax greater. All the things that are necessary to sustain it are going to be, not attractive to young people. So there has to be an alternative, and one of the alternatives is using Social Security in that situation. So you have mandatory service, and during that service, they would start a Social Security account, and that would continue for 18-year-olds going forward. And at the end of 29 years from now, that 18-year-old that started would be reaching the end of the generation. And you have all of those 18-year-olds have contributed now to the Social Security world, and you've accumulated a tremendous amount of endowment potential in that fund, as opposed to it being in Social Security and disappearing. So that's
cool.
That's the economics of what we've been discussing.
Yeah.
And trying to keep it simple, but thank you for joining us today on Route 664, Wanda.
That was a good one. He knows a lot of stuff.
Gotta go on a rave once in a while.
Come visit the radio station. Visit us on Facebook, and we'll have the link there. But it's 365 Live you just go there and Google Route 664 Radio, and sit back and enjoy. Clean up your house, do some cleaning, do some homework.
Strive to get in the middle class.
But dance. Get a little dance on. Get your little groove on if you can throughout the day.
Yep.
Move your body. And come back here next Thursday. We'll see you then.
Good to be with you.